Okay, hear me out. Why would I do that? You're trying to get more views, right? Yeah, my watch hours have been stuck for like 2 years. Hot dog water. What? Stop doing regular food videos. You have to do something atrocious to get more attention. This is my channel and I'm gonna make a soup with hot dog water. You joke, but actually...
It's okay, even white people like this one. Korea is known for having many delicious soups and stews, and I think they're all amazing, but here's one that America had a helping hand in. Budae Jjigae, or army-based stew, was created during the Korean War. American soldiers were munching on the standard Spam, or processed hot dogs, or canned beans, and Koreans decided to toss that into a soup that's based on Korean flavors. Thus, Budae Jjigae was born, and we're all better for it. It's one of the easiest and cheapest things you can make at home, but it comes out tasting like a gourmet meal. So we'll start by making the broth, which you can get away with doing just a store-bought stock here, or you can add in something like handashi to water, but I'm just going to make a simple chicken-flavored dashi stock. So into a pot, I'm adding 1 sheet of dried kombu or kelp, 2 dried shiitake mushrooms because I always keep them things on me, and 6 cups of water. For the chicken flavor, I'm adding a heaping tablespoon of this better than bouillon paste, dissolving that and bringing it to a quick boil, at which point I'll kill the heat and add in 2 packets or about 10 grams of bonito flakes. I made almost this exact same base for my tare in the tonkotsu ramen video. I'm just going to steep everything in the warm liquid for about 15 minutes, and then I'll strain the fish flakes out over a coffee filter and sieve. And meanwhile, I'll get all my other components ready, which is ultimately up to you. I'm going to start with my flavoring sauce, which is what makes this stew taste Korean. I'm using doenjang and gochujang, which are soybean and chili paste respectively. About 2 tablespoons of the gochujang and 1 tablespoon of the doenjang. Then I'll press in 2 cloves of garlic and like a tablespoon of gochugaru. Lastly, a tablespoon or so each of soy sauce and rice vinegar. Mix that together and you have a spicy and sweet sauce to flavor your stew.
Glippy and gloopy will make the stew spiffy and spoofy.
Lastly, we're just going to get all our toppings together so we can get this ready to serve. There's so many possibilities of what you can add, but here's what I'm doing. I'm doing about 150 grams of every ingredient that I'm adding in, by the way. Starting by slicing some thin sheets of some firm tofu. And then I mentioned hot dogs earlier, but I really like andouille sausage, so I'm going to add that here. It's not traditional for Budae Jjigae, but since I live in New Orleans, I cannot live without adding this to a sausage dish. Just slicing some coins at a really nice bias to make them look pretty. And then I have some Spam that I'm going to slice into planks as well. The last bit of knife work is going to be cutting a half of a yellow or white onion, just making thin slices to boil really nicely in the broth. Then I have 3 green onions that I'm going to separate the whites from the greens, and then a packet of enoki mushrooms, which I really love. Just need to cut off that rough bottom part. And then for my kimchi, I'm not going to put it on my wooden or plastic cutting boards because it would stain. So what Koreans do is put this into a glass bowl or measuring cup, and then you can just use some kitchen shears to chop it down a bit. Okay, and before we serve, I'm going to get some color on my meats because I like the taste of them better. So quickly over medium-high heat, I'm going to add in my sausage and just brown it on either side just to get some Maillard reaction on it. And then I'll remove those and do the same with the Spam. Both of these will warm up in the broth and be fine to eat, but adding this extra layer of flavor in the form of browning really goes a long way. And don't pass up the leftover flavor in the pan in the form of fond. Just ladle in a bit of the hot broth and scrape away. You can just pour that right back into the broth pot. Okay, so to serve, I'm going to get a clean, wide, and kind of shallow pan to make sure we can see everything. I'm going to go ahead and add in my sausage and Spam, and then fan out those tofu sheets, those enoki mushrooms, and then I have some sliced baby bell mushrooms to add as well. You're going to have to keep rearranging ingredients to make sure everything stacks well. Next, the sliced white onions and the chopped kimchi, that beautiful spicy gochujang sauce which will dissolve and bloom into that warm stock. And then traditional here is to add in a block of instant ramyun. I'm of course using Shin Black for anybody that knows me. Try to get everything to sit fairly flatly and then pour in that warm stock. I'm doing this over my induction burner because it's common to serve this boiling. A lot of the ingredients are added in cold, so you want all of this to be brought up to temperature when you're eating it. And of course you have to give that ramyun time to soften. So I just covered this for a few minutes and then moved it to my taste test area. The last few ingredients to add here is a few spoonfuls of canned baked beans, very popular and non-perishable army food that was good in this stew. And then 2 or 3 slices of American cheese which really complement the noodles well, trust me. Finish off with your scallions, and this is a stew that can serve a crowd. It's really easily scalable. You can do this in a bigger pot and just add more ingredients. You can add or omit whatever toppings you like. For example, rice cakes are common in this, but I really don't like them, so I don't use them. But grab a group of friends and enjoy a nice fun meal together. Let's get to the taste test.
I should really be doing this with a group of friends because, well, all Korean dishes are meant to be eaten that way, but especially stews like this, it just gets put in the middle of the table and people grab whatever they like out of it. But all things considered, this isn't super hard to make. It's just putting everything together and prepping everything, but then it all comes together in the broth and the pot just kind of keeps it warm the whole time. And speaking of the broth, let me start with a little bit of that. It's super hot because it's either served boiling or just kept warm on top of a heat source like this. 잘 먹겠습니다. Hot. Yeah, super tasty, pure flavor, but I'm gonna add a little bit more of this sauce because I want some more spice. But I love it. It's just all those Korean flavors that I've come to love. I didn't grow up with a Korean flavor profile, so I wasn't used to this, but now that I've been eating it for several years, it feels nostalgic to me. I think I mentioned this in my Korean barbecue video, but I just love having meals like this where there's so many different types of flavors and things that you can pick on and eat, as opposed to just having one main dish and maybe 1 to 2 sides. This keeps it super interesting. I love how enoki mushrooms are very noodle-like. And the andouille sausage is a very welcome addition for me, at least. Yeah, just a bunch of flavors that no one would ever think to mix together, but they really work. Don't sleep on Spam. Of course, you can't forget about this cheesy ramyeon. This is really like college kid ingredients, non-perishable items, but they come together in this like kind of gourmet style. It really feels like a fancy meal that I would eat at a restaurant. I love this. And it doesn't need to be served exactly this way. It's just kind of a throw together meal. You just need some protein and veggie elements and then just some style of broth, and you mix all that together and you have a meal. 너무 맛있다. I hope you give yourself the chance to try this someday, even if you just order it at a Korean restaurant next time you go. Definitely one of my favorite celebrations and combinations of flavor. But that's gonna be it for me today. Thank you guys for watching, be blessed, and I'll see you next time. Might be making my way back to Korea next year.